The day they buried her husband, the sky was strangely clear. No clouds, no wind, just silence, as if the world itself was watching. She stood, dressed in black, her face calm but her eyes empty. People whispered around her. Poor woman, she has no idea what comes next. She will lose everything. They did not know. She already knew everything. Her name was Elena. For years, she had lived in the shadow of a powerful man, her husband, Victor, a billionaire, respected, feared, admired. But to the world, she was just his quiet wife, the woman who smiled at events and said nothing. They thought she was weak. At the funeral, her son Daniel stood beside her, tall, confident, wearing a slight smirk he tried to hide. When the final prayer ended, he leaned closer and whispered, "Mom, do not worry. I will handle everything now." His voice carried something strange, not comfort, control. Elena slowly turned her head and looked at him. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she gave a soft nod. Of course. But inside, something shifted. Something cold, something sharp. Because she knew exactly what he meant. That evening, the family gathered at the mansion. Lawyers, business partners, board members. Everyone dressed in black. But their eyes were not mourning, they were calculating. Daniel walked into the room like he already owned it. "Ladies and gentlemen, as the only son of Victor, I will now take responsibility for the company." Some people nodded, some looked unsure, but no one spoke. Until the lawyer cleared his throat. "There is something we must read first." The room went silent. Elena remained seated, her hands folded in her lap, her face unreadable. The lawyer opened the file. "This is the final will of Victor." Daniel smiled slightly, already expecting victory. But then, everything changed. All shares, all assets, all decision-making authority are transferred to my wife, Elena. The room froze. Daniel blinked once, twice. That is not possible. He stood up quickly. There must be a mistake. The lawyer shook his head slowly. There is no mistake. This document was signed, witnessed, and sealed. Elena is now the sole owner. Every eye in the room turned toward her. For the first time, she stood up. Slowly, calmly. No fear, no hesitation. Daniel stepped closer, his voice rising. "Mom, you do not understand this business. You cannot run this company. People will destroy you." For a second, it almost sounded like concern, but she knew better. She looked directly into his eyes. "I already understand more than you think." The room felt different now, like a storm had quietly entered. Over the next few days, chaos spread. Board members questioned her, investors doubted her, media whispered about her. A weak widow, a temporary figure. But Elena said nothing. She watched, she listened, and then she acted. One by one, she called meetings, private conversations behind closed doors. Deals were reviewed, contracts examined, loyalty tested. And slowly, the truth began to surface. Victor had not been blind. He had seen betrayal growing inside his own empire, and at the center of it was Daniel, her own son. He had been planning this for years, hidden accounts, hidden deals, trying to take control before his father even died. Elena felt the pain deep inside, but she did not break, because now it was clear. This was not just business. This was war. The final confrontation came in the boardroom. Daniel walked in, confident again, but this time something was different. Elena was already there, sitting at the head of the table, papers neatly placed in front of her, the entire board present. She looked at him calmly. "Sit down." He laughed lightly. "You really think you can stop me?" She did not answer. Instead, she slid a file across the table. He opened it, and his face changed. Bank records, illegal transfers, signed agreements, proof, complete, undeniable. The room was silent. "You used your father," she said quietly, "and you thought I would not see." Daniel tried to speak, but no words came. Security entered. The room, Elena stood up. For a moment, her eyes softened, just for a moment. Then the steel returned. You forgot one thing. I was always watching. Daniel was escorted out, his empire gone before it ever began. Days later, headlines exploded. The silent wife who took over, the woman who saved the company. But Elena did not celebrate. She stood alone in Victor's office, looking out the window. The city below still moving, still alive. For the first time, she allowed herself to breathe. She was no longer in anyone's shadow. She was the storm now. And this was only the beginning. The silence in the mansion felt different now, no longer heavy with grief, but sharp with power. Elena walked through the long hallway slowly, her footsteps echoing like a reminder. Everything had changed. But power never comes alone. It always brings enemies, and hers were already watching. In the days that followed, the media would not stop. Cameras outside the gates, headlines filled with her name, the mysterious widow, the unexpected ruler, the woman no one saw coming. But behind the scenes, something darker was moving. Late one night, her phone rang, a number she did not recognize. She stared at the screen for a moment, then answered. A deep voice spoke. You may have won the company, but you have no idea what you stepped into. The line went dead. Elena did not panic. She simply placed the phone down slowly because she already knew. Victor's empire was not clean. It was powerful, too powerful, and power like that always leaves shadows. The next morning, she called for a private audit. No one else, no board, no advisors, just her. For hours, she sat in Victor's office, files spread across the desk, numbers that did not make sense, accounts that should not exist. And then she found it. A hidden network, offshore accounts, transactions tied to names that should never be connected, politicians, contractors, people with influence. Victor had built more than a company. He had built a system, and now it belonged to her. For a brief second, her hands stopped. This was bigger than betrayal, bigger than family. This was dangerous, very dangerous. That same evening, another meeting was called, but this time it was different. No announcements, no official agenda, only a few selected board members, the most loyal, or at least the ones who pretended well. Elena stood at the head of the table. We are cleaning everything. Some faces froze, others shifted uncomfortably. One man leaned forward. You do not understand what you are saying. This company survives because of those connections. She met his gaze without blinking. No, this company survives because I decide it does. The room fell silent again, but resistance had already begun. Over the next week, things started happening. Deals collapsing without reason, partners pulling out suddenly, rumors spreading fast. Someone was pushing back, hard. Then came the real warning. Her car stopped in the middle of an empty road, engine dead, driver confused. Before anyone could react, a black SUV pulled up beside them. For a moment, time froze. The window rolled down slowly. A man inside, face half hidden. Walk away, he said calmly. Sell everything, leave, or next time it will not be your car that stops. The SUV drove off, just like that. No noise, no drama, but the message was clear. This was not business anymore. This was survival. Back at the mansion, security was doubled, phones monitored, movements tracked, but Elena refused to hide. Instead, she moved faster. She began cutting ties, one by one, accounts frozen, contracts terminated, names erased. Each decision like a blade, and each one made her enemies stronger. Then one night, she found something else, a file hidden deeper than the rest, locked, encrypted, Victor's personal records. It took hours, but when it finally opened, everything changed again. Inside was a list, not of partners, but of threats, people Victor himself feared, and at the very top, One name, the same voice, the same man, the one who called, the one in the SUV. Elena leaned back slowly. For the first time since all of this began, she felt it. Not fear, but realization. She had not taken over a company, she had stepped into a war that was already in progress, and now she was the target. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, the first storm since Victor's funeral. Elena stood up and walked toward the window. Her reflection stared back at her. No longer the quiet wife, no longer the shadow. Something else, something stronger. "They think I will walk away," she whispered softly, but her eyes hardened. They have no idea who they are dealing with. The storm outside grew louder, but inside, she was already becoming something far more dangerous. The storm did not stop that night. It only grew louder. Rain hit the glass like a warning, like the world itself was trying to speak. But Elena stood still, unmoved, because now she understood everything. This was never just about Victor, never just about Daniel. This empire had layers, and she had only just reached the surface. The next morning, she made a decision. No more waiting, no more reacting. Now she would strike first. She called in her most trusted security head, a man Victor had trusted for years, Marcus. His face was serious as always, but his eyes carried questions. "You ask for me?" Elena stepped closer. "I want everything on this name." She placed the file in front of him. Marcus opened it. For the first time, his expression changed. "Where did you get this?" Victor kept records. Marcus closed the file slowly. "If this is real, then you are not dealing with businessmen. You are dealing with people who do not lose." Elena's voice remained calm. "Everyone loses. The only question is when." Marcus studied her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "I will find everything." As he left, the game had officially begun. Days passed, but they did not feel like days. They felt like moves, like pieces shifting on a board. And Elena was learning fast, very fast. Marcus returned with information, more than she expected. The man behind everything was not just powerful, he was untouchable. A name whispered in politics, in finance, in shadows. Adrian Cole, the one who controlled networks no one talked about, the one who made problems disappear. And now he was watching her. Elena did not hesitate. Set up a meeting. Marcus looked shocked. "That is not how this works." "It is now." The message was sent, and the reply came faster than expected. One location, one time. No security, no mistakes. The night of the meeting arrived. The city lights flickered in the distance, but the place she arrived at was dark, silent, empty. An old building far from everything. Marcus insisted on staying close, hidden just in case. Elena walked inside alone, her steps steady, her breathing calm. At the center of the room, a single chair, and a man standing beside it. Adrian Cole. His presence was quiet but heavy, like danger that did not need to shout. "So," he said slowly, "the widow finally steps into the light?" Elena stopped a few feet away. "I prefer to see the person who is trying to destroy me." A faint smile appeared on his face. "Destroy you? No, you are doing that yourself. You are removing pieces that hold this world together." Her eyes sharpened. "You mean corruption?" His smile grew slightly. "I mean control." There was a pause, a long one. Then he stepped closer. Victor understood the balance. He played his role. You are breaking it, and people like me do not allow that. Elena did not step back. Maybe Victor was tired. Maybe he wanted it to end. For the first time, Adrian's eyes narrowed slightly. "Careful. You are standing here because I allowed it." She tilted her head slightly. "No, I am standing here because you are curious, because you do not understand me yet." Silence again, but this time it was different. Tension filled the air. Then Adrian spoke quietly. Walk away. Keep your wealth. Live your life. Or continue this and lose everything. Elena took a slow breath, then said something he did not expect. What if I don't care about losing? What if I only care about ending this? For the first time, the balance shifted, just slightly. Adrian studied her carefully, like he was seeing something new, something dangerous. Then he smiled again, but this time it was colder. Then we will see how far you can go. The meeting ended just like that. No handshake, no agreement, only a silent understanding. War had been declared. As Elena stepped outside, the storm had passed, but the air felt heavier, like something bigger was coming. Marcus approached quickly. Are you okay? She nodded, but her eyes were different now, focused, sharp, unbreakable. He thinks I will break, she said quietly. Marcus did not respond, because even he could see it now. She would not. Back at the mansion, Elena walked straight to Victor's office. She opened the hidden drawer again, looked at the list. Then slowly, she began writing her own names under it. Targets, not victims. The game was no longer about survival. It was about control. And this time, she would not play by anyone else's rules. Outside, the first light of morning appeared. A new day. But for Elena, it was something else entirely. The beginning of the end. The city woke up slowly, but Elena had not slept. Not for a moment, because she knew today everything would end, one way or another. The list in front of her was complete now. Names, connections, secrets, all exposed. Victor had built the system. Adrian controlled it. But Elena, she was about to destroy it. Marcus stood near the door. Everything is ready. She nodded once. Then it begins. Across the city, things started happening simultaneously. Files sent, accounts leaked, evidence delivered to authorities, to media, to people who could not ignore it. A storm, not of rain, but of truth. Within hours, the headlines exploded. Corruption networks exposed, hidden empires revealed, powerful names falling. The world was watching now, and there was no stopping it. Adrian Cole was no longer untouchable. He was visible, and visibility was weakness. But Elena knew he would not go down quietly. And she was right. That same evening, the mansion went dark. Power cut, security systems down. Marcus reached for his weapon instantly. They are here. Footsteps echoed in the halls, slow, controlled. Not fear, not panic, precision. Elena stood up from her chair, her face calm, almost expected. The door opened, and Adrian walked in. Alone. No guards, no noise, just him. You made a mistake, he said quietly. Elena stepped forward. No, I finished what Victor started. For the first time, his calm cracked slightly. Victor did not want this. Something shifted in her eyes. Then tell me, why did he keep everything recorded? Why did he prepare for this? Adrian went silent, just for a second, and that was enough, because Elena already knew. Victor was never fully part of them. He was trapped, playing along, waiting, building evidence, preparing an end, but he never got the chance, until now. You think you won, Adrian said coldly, but removing me changes nothing. There will always be another. Elena nodded slowly. Maybe, but not today. Sirens echoed in the distance, loud, closer. Adrian's expression hardened. You planned this. She held his gaze, every step. For the first time, he looked around, not in control anymore, not above it, but inside it, trapped. The sound of doors breaking open, voices shouting, authorities flooding in. It was over, just like that. As Adrian was taken away, he stopped for a moment and looked at her. "This world will break you." Elena's voice was steady. It already tried, and it failed. Silence followed. Then he was gone. Days later, everything changed. Trials began, names disappeared from power, systems collapsed. The empire was no more. And Elena? She stood once again in Victor's office, the same window, the same city, but everything was different now. No shadows, no hidden chains, just her. For a long moment she said nothing. Then softly, almost like a whisper, "It is done." She picked up the final file, Victor's last message, a recording she had not played until now. His voice filled the room. "If you are hearing this, then I failed to finish it. But I knew you would, because you were always stronger than me." Elena closed her eyes briefly, not in pain, but in understanding. He did not choose her by accident. He knew, all along. The quiet woman, the one no one noticed, was the only one who could end it. She walked away from the desk, toward the door, and this time she did not look back. Outside, the city moved as always, people unaware, life continuing, but somewhere deep beneath it, a system had fallen. Because one woman refused to stay silent, because one woman chose to fight and win. The widow was gone, the shadow was gone. What remained was something far more powerful, a woman who turned loss into the end of an empire.